This is the Superconscious Sisterhood and Friends podcast. We are a group of female coaches working with women from all over the world. We work with our clients to help them create a life they love, become the predominant creator in their own reality, step into their true nature and purpose, and live in health and vitality. In this podcast, I talk all things superconscious with the other coaches, and sometimes I'll have guests too. Join us as we talk personal development, hormones, motherhood, and anything else in between that comes up in the moment. So today, Debbie and I, we're just having a catch up and talking about the sabotaging problems that we have in our lives, and how we try to navigate those, the imposter syndrome that comes up for us, even though we're in our coaching phase and we're enjoying coaching and we're supporting others to achieve their dreams. We are still navigating our own lives in terms of finding out what it is that we want and, building our own dreams. So, that's the topic of today, and welcome if you're listening to the Superconscious Sisterhood podcast. I'm Kelly, and this is our lovely lady that you can see here is Debbie, and we are both coaches with the Superconscious Sisterhood, and it's really great fun. We love it. So
it's so nice to be here. I love having this chat with you, and for everyone to have the option to tune into that. I think it's very valuable. And it really shows us in our human side, Yes, we are coaches, and I think there is so much out there that just shows, the steps that you need to take and how you should do things. But there's also always the human side. And so I think this is a great opportunity to show that side as well and have people get to know us better as coaches. And so, I love being here.
Oh, me too. And this is just a new thing that we've started. So we're just trying to get into the flow of it. Hopefully not have problems with our recording and stuff. Last time I recorded it, my voice was quieter than the other person. And I was just like, I had to spend ages redoing the volumes to make it more even. So fingers crossed, it's going to work much better today.
We learn as we go, right? We're coaches. So all the other stuff.
We're not really techie. I mean, we're both techie people, but we're not, this technical side is new to us both. But the coaching is what we want to focus on, the helping people and the intuitively feeling into that rather than knowing how to do everything else, because you can't know how to do everything, can you? So, but you just learn on the fly. So here we are. We don't have a techie expert to help us.
That's where the sabotage comes in, because for me personally, I already know I love coaching. I love helping people step into their fullest expression and create that life that they really love. But then, as an entrepreneur, we have all these other things that we have to do as well. And, especially when you're starting, you have the tech side of it, you have the marketing side of it, you have all those things, which are all, I feel like, elements that could potentially stop you in your tracks. For a variety of reasons, because you feel like you're not ready yet, or you don't know how something works, or you need it to be perfect.
And, I always think it needs to be perfect. That's one of my worst things. It delays me so often, over and over again. But sorry to interrupt. You keep doing your. Go back to you.
And so this for me personally has really been a journey in and of itself, because you can have resistance towards the thing that you truly love doing, and then there is resistance that you can have of the things that come with that. I've always been,
it's like a two-pronged attack sometimes.
I've always been pretty good in my life to go for the things I really love, but my resistance mostly come up in the things around it, you know, in the technology, in the whole social media, for example. You know, it's in this day and age, it's so beautiful, all the opportunities that we have, and that you can start an online business. And but the other side of it is, if you're online, that also means your audience is online. So you have to be present on social media. And I truly, dearly love coaching, and social media is still to this day is more my challenge. And so it's interesting how those resistances can arrive in different areas of the creation.
Yeah,
right?
that's true. And it is my challenge as well, because I see all these amazing, wonderful people out there, and I know that face to face I can be really confident talking. But I'm like, well, it's just difficult to get the video camera out and film, and because there'll always be something like, oh, my eye bags are really big today. Oh, I've put a little bit of weight on recently. I'm feeling a bit more puffy in the face. Oh, I'm older than everyone else, and people are not going to resonate with me. And that's just bull crap. It really is, because I know this because I've been watching, sometimes I click on threads, not very often, and there's this old couple there that must be in their 70s. They're like the same age as my dad, and they just muck around doing like air guitar, and they pretending to play the drums and stuff, and do a video of it, filming themselves just having a really great time. And the first thing I think when I watch it is not, oh, look, they're old. I don't care. I see two people just living their best lives, loving the relationship that they have, and feeling comfortable enough to just enjoy doing a silly video between them. And I think, yeah, you bloody go for it. You go for it, you lovely old people, because but yeah, and I think, if I think that, then yeah, I do read a lot of troll comments and stuff to people, but there's a lot of people that are just normal, that will not have a second thought about it, you know. And we need to move away from this age of perfectionism where all the women have to look perfect, and you know, everything, because that's not actually what you see in real life. And to be honest, to maintain that level of being perfectly manicured and, you know, looking perfect, it's a lot of work. And not everyone has time to do that. They want to do other things. And if you're doing that all the time, what are you doing for fun? I don't, you know, fair play to you to have the you know, to the focus and motivation to be able to do that, if you are somebody that does that. But I'm thinking, oh well, yeah, it's just a lot extra to think about for me, when I think there's all so many other things that I need to do in my life. So, but maybe that's just me. I'm just not very good at juggling loads of stuff, obviously.
Yeah,
So,
no, but you make a valid point. I think it's because, you know, it's it's not that we can only do the thing that we love, and we can only show up, in our case, for example, for other people, by looking a certain way, or you
yeah,
know, or being a certain way. To me, the authenticity, or just being in your own truth, is where the biggest magnetism lies. And people are
yeah,
people
agree.
are gonna notice that. They're gonna notice the most in the end, I think, if you're in your truth or not. And
That's
they're more
true.
concerned with themselves than they are with other people. But I think in overall, people do pick up if somebody's in their truth or not. And especially when
Yeah,
you're in a field like coaching, or it has nothing to do with coming across as perfect, or it's just gonna look fake to me, I think.
yeah,
That's what,
I
yeah.
agree. You have to
And
be
I'm in a
relatable.
perfect example right now. Like, I have my lights. Now they already turned off. You know. So in this moment, I could decide, like, okay, this is not going to work. I'm just gonna, okay, I can't show up like this.
Yeah, I can still see
But
you.
I'm still,
That actually hasn't made any difference to the light.
okay, well, yeah, and I'm still here as a person, right? I'm still showing up as me. Like, that hasn't
Yeah,
changed. And so
but
I
you could
feel
have
like
gone, oh
that's what
no,
we
the
should
light is
focus
not
on.
perfect. I have to leave.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you could have,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Plus,
And it's
there's a
about
lot of
showing up,
background
isn't
noise
it?
here too
And
now.
breaking through all of the fears, all of the stupid things that hold you back that are not really going to make a difference as to whether or not you do it well. To do it well, you just need to get into that calm, relaxed, intuitive, connected with your heart space where you can then help people and do the most for them. We're both able to do that. So that's half the battle, really. Um, and one thing I was thinking about as well is that in my old work, I did things that I enjoyed, but there was only parts of it that I really enjoyed. And the reason I just got on with those jobs and did them was because, well, I needed the money and it was good to have that structure of working for someone else. And it's to the jump from doing that to actually being the one responsible for everything for yourself. That's the one of the most terrifying parts of it for me. Because
Mm-hmm.
before you could, excuse me, my matcha latte is repeated on me. And before um, it's like you don't have the responsibility of everything. The people that are telling you this is your role and what to do, it's almost like they have all the ownership, the onus is on them, isn't it? Whereas if you work for yourself, the onus is on you to try and bring your clients in and do all the other things. And I guess that is a scary thing to me, having to be responsible for my own financial freedom.
I think
So,
it's for a lot of people, right? Because when you think about it, we work with choices, and our core four choices, the first one is being the predominant creator. And when you have a look around, as human beings, we love to give our power away.
right.
Which
Yeah,
means we love to
always.
give control away, right? We look at the government to solve issues. We are with an employer who is like taking care of us in a way, and so we
Yeah,
give the control away, we give the power away, like we over and over, we're used to giving our power away.
in
So then
fact, if you think
to
about
step
it,
into
sorry to
that power.
interrupt, but we're taught to behave that way from day one because that's how our families and ancestors behave. We're taught that the government tell you what to do. This is how we behave. This is what we do. You go to school, you're taught to perform to this level. You're always taught to do what other people tell you to do and to work within a set of parameters or rules, but you're not given like free reign to be creative, to actually create. So sorry to interrupt, but I just thought it's just obvious the pattern through life. Everybody is
Yeah.
taught not to break out of this. They're taught to be, you go to school, you do this, you get a good job, and then you work really hard, and then you retire, and then you die. And that's it.
And
That's the
that's it.
life. That's the life we have for ourselves. Everyone has that life. And if you're not doing that, then there's something wrong because then you don't fit in with
Right.
your family.
Then you don't fit in,
Yes.
or you're a rebel, right? That can be too.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's the interesting part. It's that because we're not used to it, the feeling of taking back your power can also feel overwhelming. It can be like,
mm,
whoa, you know, sometimes people have a genuine fear of like success, even. It's like being actually successful, whatever success means to you. Like in our case, it's it's living a life you love. That would be success. And being afraid of your own success is a real thing, because
yes,
that goes together with what you mentioned, is taking on the responsibility. Like we actually have to want it, truly want it, to be in the seat ourselves, right? In the driver's seat, instead of putting
yeah,
somebody else in the driver's seat. We have to want to be in the seat to be able to utilize
Yeah.
to wield that power and to create everything that we love. But it's a big responsibility.
Yeah, it is. And there's also the fear of like, if you do too well, then you might not belong to your friends or family group, and
Mm-hmm.
you will feel like more of an outsider. So it's almost like, but my ego or my subconscious or unconscious, whatever, I think it's unconscious, um, it wants to just believe that we have to do things the way that we've been always taught, which is getting a job, going to school, getting a good job, working hard, working all the hours for someone else. Because I've not really known many entrepreneurs in my family, or had examples from them in my life. So yeah, it's just that it says no, this isn't the way. So it almost wants it wants to sabotage you so that it can be proven to be right, because it's just trying to keep you safe. It's not bad. It just wants you to do the same.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
it's like you have to put the car in gear, start making the steps, and then as you start to see the success, that helps, I think, the unconscious, sorry, to think, oh, okay, maybe this is safe. And that's why we do the process, isn't it? We're constantly visualizing the success of what we want to say to the unconscious, this is the way that it could be, this is safe. And then we're using a recode to help with that, the things that are coming up, resistance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think this is where most people already give up, right? It's in that stage. It's in that exact stage because, we have multiple personality parts of us that are either active or dormant. And like you said, if you haven't grown up in a family that does things in the way that you want to do them right now, then there is going to be a part of you that's going to come and pop up and say like, hey, this is different. Maybe you shouldn't go down this road. Maybe they are right. Maybe that's not for you, or maybe you're not capable, and yeah, the thing is that when we give up there, all we see is the proof that our unconscious keeps trying to bring up of it not working, right?
Yeah,
And so we have to build that focus. And I think in the world today where we live with so many distractions and so much noise, focus is really the most important thing, I think, to start building up. And with the short
yeah,
attention span, that's for most people not the easiest part, right? But if we can stay
yeah,
focused, then
yeah,
we
that's true.
can create a new pattern in which if we do a practice every single day, really truly dropping in and visualizing our end result. This is one of the things that we teach in the sisterhood on how to do that. We're focusing, we're sharpening our focus.
Yeah, yeah, and you have to be consistent with that. And even if I mean, for me, I'm neurodivergent, so my focus is always all over the place. Um, but doing meditations regularly, that does really help a lot. And it's funny because another thing I thought of earlier was you get the anxiety of that, when you're doing normal life, say normal life, that old way of life, you get anxiety and stuff sometimes, and then it's because of certain things. But then when you're trying to change your life for the better, you get anxiety because it's changed. So do you know, I don't know what I was trying to say with that point, but what I meant is like, it's almost like the unconscious gives you that anxiety in that situation. Whereas when you're out in the world and crappy things happen, you get anxiety from the crappy things that happen and from having to solve the problem. Maybe you just become addicted to having that feeling of anxiety. You need to always be worried or fighting something, constantly in your fight or flight mode. I don't know. I don't know how the brain works.
Yeah.
I do a
Yeah,
bit, but not.
apparently Yeah, apparently we can really get addicted to certain feelings and emotions.
Yeah.
And so, and that's especially, I think, you know, if it reflects your childhood, because then it just means it's programmed into the unconscious. And no matter how uncomfortable or unsafe it truly is for us, if you've survived those periods in your life, then it means your unconscious just programs it in as, oh, that's your baseline, that's your normal. You can survive it. So we can
Yeah.
just hold on to that, because anything other than that is new, it's change, it's scary. So then you have that anxiety. So I think that kind of reflects what you're trying to say, is that you can have the anxiety that's already programmed into your system that you've lived with. But then if you're trying to change that, there can be anxiety coming in from the change, which is
Yeah. It's
also
like a
something
different
that the
kind.
unconscious is uncomfortable
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
So that's
And
where we
then,
have to look at how can we deal with that anxiety of the change, right? Because often if we've been feeling anxious, then that's the thing we want to get rid of. Then
yeah,
we want to
exactly.
try
It's
and get
a
away from the
natural,
anxiety.
it's a natural feeling to want to do that rather than to take that. Well, we talk about structure and we say that, you know, that stress can be a good way to propel, anxiety can be a good way to propel us towards out of the oscillating structure. You know, is talk about how we should, that anxiety shouldn't really be the fear, that anxiety, that shouldn't really be something that stops us taking action. We need to turn that energy and make it into something that actually propels us forward. But the natural default for everybody is, oh, I feel stressed, I feel anxious, I can't deal with it right now. I'm just going to put on the TV and watch some videos, or, you know, do something else to distract my mind away from moving forward with what is.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
then, because, you know,
absolutely.
imposter syndrome and what have you. So
Yeah, and then, you know, when that anxiety happens, it's like you said, it's either we have a coping mechanism, for example, we turn on Netflix and we numb ourselves out, or we start eating
yeah,
food, or what have you not. And then I think what has also been happening in the like let's say self-help world, in the more holistic healing world, is the whole movement of, for example, yoga and meditation came up. And then so that
yes,
seemed like a really good avenue to calm the anxiety. And I'm not
yeah,
saying
it
it's
is.
not super useful, because I love it. Like, I'm a yoga teacher as well, and I absolutely value the power of yoga and meditation. But from my own experience, I can also say that, you know, that's not where it ends, because what then gets created is people who just start meditating and then just meditate more and more and more and more and more.
Yeah,
And
I get
although that
addicted to
is
that
not a
instead.
bad thing, it's beautiful. Like, meditation definitely helps on several levels. But if we want to be in creation, something else needs to happen besides that
Yeah,
meditating. So, and then if we want to go from the
action.
meditation back into the action, the anxiety comes back. And so I think that's kind of like where a lot of people also get stuck,
Mm.
where I've been stuck
Yeah, it is.
myself, is that you find the relaxation through your yoga, your meditation. Another person maybe goes for a run or whatever. But then when that stops and we actually go back into the action mode, the anxiety pops back up, and it's like, oh, well, let's go back to the meditating. Right?
Yeah,
And we're not
yeah,
like
it can
in
be. It
that
can be.
in that momentum of the creation, because obviously, you know, we don't literally bring into reality what we want to create by just meditating.
Yeah, yeah, we absolutely have to step, you know, we have to take the action step. And there was something really good. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and Mike Dooley was on it talking about a book that he's created with channelers and stuff. And it sounds really interesting. I'm going to have to check it out. But the one thing he said that I really thought, yeah, that really does resonate is that, yeah, focus on. So Mike Dooley is from Law of Attraction, isn't he? From all that sort of stuff. So he's been around a little while. But one of the things he said, that's for people listening that don't know. So one of the things he said was, you can tell the universe or source or creation or whatever you call your creative, outside of you energy, the quantum field, whatever, you can imagine what it is that you want to create, and you can do that, and you can say, this is the direction I want to go in, this is the direction I want to go in. But unless you get in the car, switch the engine on, and put it into gear, the sat nav is not going to guide you to that place. So I think once you've really visualized what it is you want, you really have to take at least the first step towards it, and then just keep maintaining that action. Otherwise, you will never get there. You will never create.
Yeah.
And I would just love to be like laying on the sofa all day, meditating and watching TV. But I would never. Well, besides not getting outside, I'd never create anything. Just create a whole lot of great feelings, but eventually I wouldn't have a house to live in anymore. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe the next part of the creation process, where people run into that sabotage, right? Is where that fear resurfaces. They feel great after a visualization meditation of their dream house or their dream relationship, but then the action needs to be taken and the fear resurfaces. And then it's like, okay, so what do we do when that fear pops back up? We know we have to take action at this point, but now there are all these other things. Let's go do the dishes, or clean the house, or oh no, I have another book to read because it's important for what I want to do. So what do we do in that situation when the fear comes back?
Yeah, exactly. Or I need to sort my sock drawer out, or anything really. Is anything, isn't it? Anything but the action step that's going to take you one step further. Like we've been trying to do this podcast, or I have been for a long time, because I thought it'd be really fun, to chat with the coaches just about general stuff. And it is fun. I'm having a great conversation with Debbie, but I don't know how many times I have put it off through the things that are going on in my life, and felt fear just even getting to the point of being on the call. And the truth is, as soon as I'm on the call, I'm really enjoying it, and it's great. So sometimes it's like going to the gym, like sometimes you're like, I'll just go to the gym, horrible. But then as soon as you get there and do it, you're like, oh yeah, this is good. I'll be finished soon, Or if you're really enjoying it, you don't, you're not in a rush to finish it. So yeah, it's taking the action, isn't it? It's like getting that one little step in the right direction, rather than putting it off all the time. As humans, we're so good at putting things off. We really are.
Yeah, that's how you said it. I think, any action is in that case is better than not taking action, however small the step is. But just to take that first step. And sometimes it does happen where the resistance is just simply too big, and you freeze, and you don't know how to take yourself out of that. You don't know how to take the action. And that's where in the sisterhood we have the recode, which is such a beautiful process to lower the resistance just enough so that you can keep taking action. And that's one of the things that I think is one of the most powerful tools to keep moving when you feel like you really get stuck. But it's also not something that we want to give the power away to either, right? So what do you do if there's no recode around? And I would say, just from my own experience, it's like, okay, there's a few things that you can do. First of all, is just to step into the future you who has that creation and ask that person, that you, what would that person do? What would my future self do in this case?
Yeah.
And then
what is the woman I'm becoming? What do they do?
Yeah.
They don't sit around and watch YouTube for like 10 hours a day. They take action.
Yeah.
They're not scared, they're fearless. Sorry to interrupt, but I feel like as the older we get, the less fearless we become. When you're younger, you're so much more, braver and able to just face challenges and get on with it. But then the older you get, the more setbacks in life you manifest for yourself, and then you end up saying, "Oh, no, I give up. I want to be in my pillow fort coloring today. I can't do adulting sort of thing.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Yeah, that's totally.
Interrupt you in
Yeah,
the flow.
and that's why we have to fill our toolbox with the ways that work to shift that anxiety around. And like in the sisterhood, we have a lot of different processes that can help with that too. So yeah, I don't think this is really the place to go into all of that, but just to know that there are ways to curb that anxiety. And for me, it's really one of the biggest things for me is really because courage is something interesting, isn't it? It's like, it is something you have to bring to the table yourself. No process, no coach, not anyone can force you to have the courage to take a step. It is something you have to bring to the table. And
it comes from within. It's only from within you can have that. And you can only cultivate that the more you do something.
Yeah.
The less scary it becomes.
Like a muscle you have to train. And so if you can start with the small steps and build up courage through that, great. What also really works for me to have that courage, to curb that fear, is just to really connect into what am I doing it for? Like I'm in a true choice. I chose that for a reason. Like, what am I doing this for, right? And then to imagine the opposite. Because for me, a lot of times, not taking the action and thinking of what happens if I don't take the action and I look at my life on the opposite side, it's scarier for me.
Yeah.
It is even more, it drives the fear right into me that says like, okay, now I'm going to summon the courage to go the other way, because to be on that side, honestly, is way worse. And that
absolutely. And that driving force is really great, because when you're doing the chain of anchors process, which we should do again in the group because it is so powerful on creating momentum, it's that fear of, oh my God, I haven't done it yet and I really need to do it. And it's almost like that fear adds to the fear of doing it, and the fear of the fact that you've got some washing up to sort and some washing to do and whatever else is piling up in your life. And the fear of this and the fear of that, and worry about family and friends and all of those things. And all of those things add up. And it's like, you just have to shut out the noise of everything and have this like focus on the one thing that you're going to create today, and not be like, oh, I've got to do this, got to do that, got to do this. Because worrying about all of those things is not going to get them done immediately, because you can't multiply yourself into 10 people and just do everything. You just can't. So you have to just, it's, I like that philosophy that you might have heard of it. Now, there's, by no means do I want to eat an elephant, but there's a how do you eat an elephant? And it's one small bite at a time. Like, obviously, I never want to eat an elephant because they're lovely and beautiful, and no, but it's that, how do you climb a mountain? How do you tackle something? You literally just can do it one little thing at a time and not let yourself become overwhelmed, so that you don't get really bored of continuing.
Yeah.
I have a tendency to do a bit, get bored, and then go off and do something else. So I might have 5 tasks on the go at once. But if it helps me to get things done, then that's all right. But Galit said something really interesting about, honing down what it is that you want to do and maintaining focus on a few of those. And I was like, what? Do you not have, it's not like my brain that has 5 tabs open at once and I'm doing everything. Oh, okay. So there's almost an incessant need in me to be juggling multiple things at once, but at the same time that can bring such stress and and then I don't finish anything. So really I need to take a leaf out of that book and try to just do less. Do less and focus more on quality, not quantity. And just do things one thing at a time. One thing at a time. One little bit at a time. And to be honest as well, and I'm sorry, I do talk a lot. And one of the things that I find is that if I have a list and I actually start to do the things on that list, whatever they are, I do feel good. I feel better. I feel great. I feel happy. I feel satisfied that I have taken the action. Whereas if I have a long list of things and at the end of the day, I've not managed to even look at one of those, I can sometimes allow that to, create a negative emotion in me. Although not so much since I've been doing this work. But yeah, it's just so taking the action, it really does help to build your confidence as well. It's a win-win. You move towards your goal and you feel better about yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I think it's true what you say. It's like when we choose what we want to create, no matter how big that mountain is, like creation, no matter how big that mountain of creation is, we just look at what's the first step ahead of us instead of looking at the mountain. And for me, it's great to use that. So what's that first step? Okay, yes, I am tuning into the whole mountain as a choice, but then I'm focusing just on the first step ahead. Once I have that clear, and if I then feel the resistance of I'm not able to take that step, then I start taking myself into, oh, but what lies on the other side? If I don't go ahead with this, if I'm not actually all in for the choice that I've made, then what would my opposite life look like? And then that gives me the fuel to go, because that will give me the fuel to lift my foot off the edge and just jump. Because then it's like, no, now I remember what I'm doing this for, right? And it's so very cliche, but true that it's in the journey. Because it's those moments that you grow, and it's those moments that you say, exactly, you feel good about yourself. You cultivate those emotions that you actually want to experience. And you're not even at your end result yet, right? You just take one step.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, we focus a lot on doing things that actually give you that life-work balance, that joy to be in life, as well as creating stuff that's going to be financially, opulent for yourselves. It's not just about that. It's about creating a life that you truly enjoy living, and doing more of the hobbies and things that are going to bring you joy in life. And I don't know about you, but when I first started this work, because I was so used to feeling guilty if I had to spend some time doing something that was fun, like going out with my friends or whatever, if I had loads of work to do. And Galit was saying this the other day as well. I just said, oh no, I can't do it. I've got work to do, blah, blah, blah. And it took me a while to break out of that way of being, and to also give myself permission to choose what it is that I love. And I still find myself having to give myself permission to be able to choose what it is that I want to do, rather than what I'm prescribed to do. You know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, you should do this because that's what everyone else does. So it's really a process of learning and development of yourself, because you're looking into your heart, and you're trying to connect into the superconscious or the field to find what it is that you want to do. What is your purpose? What is that you love? And I like that part of the journey, but it's an extra layer of a challenge for me, because like we were talking at the beginning, we're so used to just being told, do it like this, do it like that, get on with it, that we don't give ourselves space to dream big, or to dream in the way that we want to.
And especially doing the things that you love day in, day out, no matter how small they are. But it's like a permission slip to start dreaming again.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say that to everyone. I mean, a lot of the people, a lot of the women in our group, that they're parents, they're mothers, and they are wives or partners, and they're giving their families a lot of time and always serving others in that way, doing what they think is right. But they're not always giving themselves the time and space to have some of their own time. And that's one of the things that we try to get women into doing. One of the first things that we try to get them into doing, isn't it? To remember that, you know, the airplane's going down, but you've got to put on your own oxygen mask first before you can help anyone else.
Definitely.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
ah,
It's the really standing, the choosing yourself, right? It's the because you're the creator of your own life, and no matter if you have a family and or children, you're still you. You're still your own being. And so
yeah,
if we can't choose for ourselves, then how can that like flow over to into others' lives, right? If we can't just be who we want to be and do the things that we
yeah,
want to do, no matter how challenging it seems to the mind.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I don't know about you, but all my life I've just been told, oh, we just have to get on with it. Everyone just has to do this and this to pay the bills and make ends meet and blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot of negative press around trying to follow your heart, because it's almost like I was miserable, and the generations before me were miserable, and the ones before that were miserable. They just got on with whatever was available to them. And when I first started working, that's what I did. I just took a job and I worked hard and I did, and I constantly made sure that I was working all the time and doing this, doing that, even, and then I wouldn't stop doing that till I found another job to do and blah, blah, blah. But actually, is that the way? Is that the way? It's not that you shouldn't work, but is that the right way to live life? I'm not sure it is. But I mean, obviously, if you go back 1,000 years ago, people did have less options. They had to grow their own food and source their own food and all that stuff as well. So I suppose we're lucky in some ways that we've become this more regimented society where we do these set roles and then we go out and then we can buy food and we can do whatever. But I don't know if I'd rather actually want to do foraging and growing my own food anyway, because that would be fun. But it wouldn't, maybe the novelty would grow off quickly after I've dug like a field of turnips or whatever, you know.
Yeah, but it's
That's
so
why
true.
that's why we have communities though, isn't it? So you can share the boring digging the turnips tasks or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But this is, I think, it's so true that, what you're mentioning. I think one of the most important things that is such a valuable practice is to stay in gratitude for everything that we have. But it
Yeah,
doesn't
that's true.
mean we
That's
have
true.
to choose it, right? All of it. I mean, some parts
Yeah.
of it, sure, but I mean, we can still be grateful for everything that we have and everything that's available to us
Mm.
and make our own choice.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. And actually, practicing gratitude is one of the best ways to infinitely improve your life in a really short time, because you're looking around and you, instead of in that, because years ago I used to be in the negative mindset all the time, blah blah blah, this has happened, that's happened, it's all happening to me, and now I'm like try to reframe things. So, oh, that's happening. Well, I'm grateful because at least it means blah, blah, blah. It's just how it's reframing it, isn't it? And sort of not feeling so like, um, stressed about everything and not feeling like everything's a chore, everything's too difficult. Yeah, because you could be like, oh, I've got to do this thing at work. Well, at least I'm in a job and I should be grateful to have the money coming in until I can find something I enjoy more.
Mhm.
The problem that's coming in that I need to solve, I'm grateful for that, because without that problem, I wouldn't be needed to do this job, for example.
Yeah, it's
But
all
yeah,
about reframing, right? Because I mean,
yeah,
with gratitude, obviously, you can also switch to the other up side of the spectrum where it's more like spiritual bypass, right? Just being grateful for everything, no matter how bad something is. But I think the practice is much more of like, okay, how can I reframe this so that, of course, I still, if something shitty happens, of course, I'm still going to feel those emotions. But what
yeah,
can we find in there to be grateful for as well? Because without contrast, without contrasting experiences, we wouldn't know what love feels like, or joy, or happiness. And so
yeah.
it's all feedback in the end, isn't it? And if we
Here's
can
all
see
feedback.
it as
As
feedback,
part of the human journey, these are lessons to be learned, experiences to have, to overcome, and to find peace in yourself. But
yeah, and
you
if we
can't do that
can,
if you don't have if you don't have a challenge or a battle or a thing to deal with. How can you navigate those different emotions of sadness, fear, anxiety, if you haven't been in those situations? Your life
Mhm.
would be really boring, wouldn't it? It would be, if you're happy all the time, then you would be looking for other things to make you happier.
Well,
Called
you probably wouldn't even know what it is. I know that
yeah,
there are theories out there that would say, like, if this world were to be a utopia, right, that people would not be able to handle it. They would start looking for problems.
they would be
And
bored. They would just start, like, especially people that are like, they just start an argument with someone just for fun. But that's because when we humans haven't evolved to the level of where we can have, love and compassion more for each other. So if we were putting all the humans that we currently have into a utopia, there'd still be some humans that really want to stir the pot, fight with others, just
but
because.
this is the thing. Yeah, exactly. But the thing is to realize in that is that we can look at that as we have bad humans, we have good humans. But I think such a beautiful thing to realize is that, what we teach too is you need tension to create. So there need to be opposite ends of a spectrum to create
That's what I
movement,
meant.
create something physical. And this is
Yeah,
from the micro to the macro. It's all the same. So, I mean, of course, there's always going to be people that are going
yeah,
to stir the pot
intention.
or that
And
have an
that's what I was
opposing
trying to say
feeling.
earlier. When
Or,
I said anxiety, I meant tension. The tension. Because I was like, anxiety makes you move forward. No,
yeah.
but yeah, you covered it exactly perfectly. Thanks, Debbie. I was like, oh. Yeah, you're right. You have to have that tension. You have to have something to move away from. And also, yeah, need something that you need an experience of one thing to know whether or not you want to try an experience of something else as well, don't you?
Exactly.
So, um,
Exactly. So if we experience something in our life that is in contrast with what we want, we can say like, oh, this makes me really feel bad. And you can go in, get lost in those emotions, right? And feel desperate or feel sad or feel helpless or feel, or we can try and reframe that and take it as feedback and say, well, this contrast is now actually also making it more clear for me what I do want and what I do desire to create from the heart. And it doesn't mean that you will instantly have it in that moment, but just the realizing that the feedback creates clarity is a huge thing.
yeah,
It is really helpful in our process of creation. And then
yeah,
obviously we always have the choice, right? We have a choice of staying in a situation or moving away from a situation, but we can
mm,
do it from a place of that gratitude that we can summon up for the clarity that it has given us, so that we're not
yeah,
moving from a place of resentment or moving from a place of anger or sadness that comes from
yeah.
giving our power away, but that we're moving from a place of gratitude of, oh, well, thank you. This just showed me that, it's not in alignment with what I want to create. So what movement can I make
Yeah, Thanks, but no
be in
thanks.
better alignment, and just be grateful for that clarity that it has given
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's true, isn't it? That's true to be said of any experience. It's you know, you can complain about it, or you can say, well, it really wasn't actually for me. I didn't enjoy it in the way that I would have liked to, but never mind. I had an experience. I put myself out there. I did it, and now I can try something else, or try again a different way, or you know, redefine the path. And yeah, and that could be said with anything that you want to do in life, whether it be relationships, work, anything really. And it's that seven of, not seven of pentacles, is it? Where you know you're standing back and assessing what you've done and then making a decision what to do next. It's that kind of, just reminds me of the man standing there holding his rake, looking at what he's done so far and making a decision on what to do next. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah.
Is it seven of pentacles? I'm gonna have to check that now because I'm, yeah, probably wrong. But so before we wrap up, let's actually dig down a little bit more into imposter syndrome, how it shows up for us, because I'd like to talk more about the true nature of what it is to be a coach. You know, around, we say we've got to be perfect first. That's how we sometimes feel before we can go and help other people. But the truth is, we're not there to be perfect ourselves. We're on our own individual journeys, but we are there to give guidance and support and bring the light out of other people. So yeah, tell me more about what you think about that. I just tried to summarize what we had talked about in the last time where we got together.
Yeah. Imposter syndrome is such an interesting phenomena, right? That happens to us. And I believe that, you know, when you do something from the heart, when you want to create something from the heart, it's that higher self that's guiding us, that knows exactly what we're here to do, right? And then our persona can still reject that, though. Our personality can still say, but oh, wait a minute, like, who are you to be doing this? Based on all the previous conditioning that we've built up in our lives, no matter where that comes from, because honestly, we don't even have to analyze it, right? We don't have to problem solve to be able to create. So that imposter syndrome, you know, I still have it come up to this day where I have moments where I'm like, well, who's going to be interested in hearing me talk? Or, you know, I'm not perfect in my own life. What am I doing here telling another person the steps they can take to create? But in all honesty, the thing that pulled me, the thing that my heart is naturally drawn to, is creating that clarity for other people and being that, you know, steady guidance for other people, to show them that it's okay to step into their fullest expression and to give them the tools to be able to do that. And I don't have to be perfect for that. And although I know that consciously really, really well now, doesn't mean that it can't pop up, because we still have that conditioning. But the thing is just to realize that, okay, you know, that is just part of my conditioning, but it's not who I am.
It's just one element of you.
So it will come in waves, and that's like everything else in life. And so I don't honestly even know if it will ever really go away, but I'm okay with that now. So for me, the acceptance is such a big part, is that to stop pushing those parts of us away that we don't like. And when the imposter syndrome comes up, and then, you know, first we think like, oh, who am I? Who's going to listen to me? And then afterwards we kick ourselves in the butt for thinking that, and punishing ourselves for like, oh, I should know better and feel better and do better. But then I'm like, wait a minute. You know, the acceptance, that really has been for me where it's at, is that just to accept these things come up. But it's not who I am. Who I am is actually the thing that lives in my heart. And when I look back in my life, I started guiding people around my 20s. Not like, I didn't make my business out of it, but it just came from the heart. And I had people turn around their life 360 degrees and telling me like, you would make such a good coach and you could do this for a living. And for many, many years, I let that imposter syndrome get in the way of that because I identified with it. I really just was like, yeah, I mean, I need to live my life exactly how I want to live it for other people to take me seriously. And it's just not true. It's just not true.
No, it's not true.
No, it's not true.
I mean, you need to be on the path and really starting to do it, but you don't need to be so far ahead and have everything perfect, because if you are going through the journey yourself and you have these moments of resistance and sabotaging, and you have your bad days and your good days, because at the end of the day, we're all very intrinsically linked with our human meat suits still, aren't we? Right? We're not all like spiritual and in our heart all the time, and in the field, quantum field, superconscious all the time. We still having a human experience. So there will be bad days and good days. And, if we can navigate those and keep refocusing on what it is that we want to create, then we can truly show other people how to do that as well. So yeah, I feel like it's more relatable, because not everyone has to have. So I see some coaches, when they advertise, they're like, oh, look at all these amazing things that I've manifested. And I think that's amazing. It's great that you have done that. But sometimes people don't always need to see all of that to get help, to get the right help. They're going to see a person that they resonate with, whatever. If someone is struggling sometimes, because we can't all be perfect, then I think that can resonate too. But then you'll go through times in your life where you're more advanced and in a better place, where you're struggling less. But then something major will happen in your life, like your family members will be diagnosed with a serious illness or something, and then that will put a setback to you. So you're just constantly navigating life and the challenges life brings, aren't you? And
and we're never done creating. We never get it done, and that's the thing. We can have these beautiful end results in mind, and then when we hit them, we can say, I created this, I manifested this. But then there will always be something next. And so, when we look at it objectively, we can't even be perfect. Because it's always a creation in process. It's always in motion. It's always, when I look back on my life, I manifested so many things, and then life moves on, and it goes into the next phase, and it goes into the next thing, and you're always, especially when you want to live as a creator, you're always creating, and there's always more. There's always next, because it's part
always
of
evolving.
It's never done. It's just never done. And I think, when we see people who are only advertising the things they've manifested, but aren't showing the other sides, they're there for sure. They're all there, the other parts, right?
It's they must be. We're all human. It's all part of the journey. I mean, if, like we were saying earlier, if everything was perfect all the time, people would find and if you didn't do it, your unconscious would find a way to make it like, oh, yeah, but what about that problem over there? Didn't sort that out, did you? What about that?
Yeah, if we
not perfect, see. So even if you even if you get to a place where you want to, and I think I've looked all through my life, whenever I've achieved things I wanted to do, which has been on quite a few times, there's always something that I'm like, oh yeah, but blah blah blah. You're never happy, are you? So it's really getting the balance, living in that life with I'm happy, I'm making creations, but I want to make more creations, and being content with the fact that you'll always want to do more. And that's okay.
Exactly. It's not like you're
Um,
not going to get
yeah.
to your end destination and then it's done, right? And I think that a lot of us live in that idea of, oh, if
Yeah.
I have created this, 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 and this, then I will be happy and then I'm done. But it's
Then I'm
never
fixed.
done.
I'll be
It's
perfect.
never done. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be perfect then. And there's loads of things that I've looked, if I look back on my life, oh, if I do this, then I'll be happy. Oh, if I do this, then I'll be happy. No, if you choose to be happy, if that's one of your creations that you want to create, then you will be happy. It's you're choosing to
You have
be
to
the
choose it.
predominant
You
creator.
have to choose it. Exactly. And that's why it's in the joy of the things that you're doing now, right? And that's why it's also not about taking the action steps that you think you need to take from the mind and that maybe are not joyous at all. It's trying to find that alignment with your intuition where you're taking the steps that actually also bring you joy because they
Yeah,
are in alignment. And I
yeah.
mean, there will always be contrast and there will always be things that you like less than other things, and that will always be there. But it's to find the joy now. And
Find the joy now. Find the joy in the small things. Find the joy just looking, because I remember when I was about 9 years old, I used to be like wandering around. Oh, look at the trees. All of the leaves are so amazing. And the grass,
right,
the flowers, everything's so beautiful. And I was like, I don't even know where that came from. But as a child, from the earliest age I can remember, I was always just like, oh, everything's so beautiful. And then the older I got, I was like, more miserable and cynical and blah blah blah. And I think I had it right to start with, looking at the simple things around and just being grateful for them. So I don't even know where that came from, but as a small child, I was very I was already into this whole hippie way of thinking, if you want to call it that.
of
Woo
course.
woo.
It's
I'm
because
going to
that's when
remember
you're
what that.
still most in your innocence, right? So the things that
Yes.
you love are just naturally grab your attention.
Yeah, I just love it. And sometimes now, even as an adult, I can really just be walking along, just looking around, loving everything, just think how amazing it is to be outside. And I think just naturally, I'm a pretty happy person, at my the root of it. But obviously, then life happens, and then after your cup gets so full, you start saying, "Nobody wants to be my friend. Everything's rubbish." No, and you start to go on that self-tirade of victimhood of how blah blah blah, woe is me, and you step away from that lovely feeling of gratitude, being just grateful for the small things, and it's so great to have a reminder, as we do in this work, where we constantly saying to ourselves, got to think about this, got to do this, remind yourself of being grateful. Skipping
I still
along.
walk around like that, Kelly. I still walk around like that. It's
Yeah, I do.
one of the things that feel most joyous to me is to view the world through that lens as when I was a little girl and just enjoying every single butterfly that I see or bird or I listen to their song and that puts a smile on my face, and this
Oh,
is
yeah, me
where
too.
people
Me too.
sometimes think, your choice or your end result, your desired reality has to be some grand thing. But it
No.
really doesn't. It's
No,
whatever
no, it's
makes
not.
you whatever makes you feel joyous, happy, love,
Yeah.
peaceful, whatever it is that you're going for from the heart. It's whatever makes you feel that way is exactly perfect for you.
Yeah. And sometimes it's the smallest things, isn't it? Like
Definitely.
I think I remember listening to Eckhart Tolle talking about a Buddhist monk that was like a master teaching a young apprentice about something, and he said, okay, go and look at the river for X amount of time. And then he came back and he said something else, and he said, go back and look again. And it was almost like he just wanted the person to remember to be in the moment. I can't remember the story specifically, but it kind of relates to what we're talking around, how the creations that you make, they don't have to be anything grand or monetary based necessarily. They just have to be what's helpful to you. And sometimes finding that peace inside, or that just being in the moment, is what is helpful for you in that time, rather than living high alert stress all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like looking into the water, are you waiting for some epiphany to come? Are you looking for something? Or are you just looking at the water and just, in admiration
Just
of the water?
existing. Yeah, exactly. Just watching it and see the way that the bubbles and the waves are formed, or the ripples, rather than, okay, what am I supposed to be getting out of this? I've been doing this for ages. Why am I looking at this? It's like it's quieting that analytical, constant questioning mind, and just going to the place where it just is. It just is in this moment. That is all it is. And I don't need to think anything or judge anything about it. I just need to be in that one moment, rather than, oh. And as humans in the modern age, we always are running around going, oh, got to do this, got to do that, and not living in that one moment, that little one mindful moment, where it's not really mindful, is it? But
I
we'll
guess
let that
it's what we
slide.
call mindfulness. Yeah. And yeah,
Mind empty.
that's where it becomes easy to drop into the heart, isn't it? Without thinking about what do I want from the heart? No, just be and drop into the heart. And then from there, let it guide you to what you want to create instead of
Yeah.
thinking about what you want to create.
Rather than forcing it to come, sort of flowing with, like a river, into that feeling of what it is I want. It's the emotions, it's the cups. Sorry, I've been thinking a lot about tarot lately, and but it's relevant. But it's that flow. It can sometimes bring you to that enlightenment that you want. That idea, the action, and then you take the action. But it's almost like you just go in with the flow to let it come to you, rather than be forcing it, which is going to be the problem solving. The problem solving is the forcing. If you're more receptive and receiving, in that receiving state of the cup, then you're going to be able to actually get the answers that you want without forcing the answers, which is really what I meant. Anyway, shut up, Kelly. Sorry.
No, it's beautiful what you share. It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, and I think that's such a good representation also of what we offer in our container of the sisterhood, right? Because we have not been taught how to do all these things. It's not difficult. It's like we came up with a 5-step process, and the process, it's not difficult. It's quite simple, but it might just not be easy because we were never taught how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and we were never given permission to be able to step into that space. And I mean, certainly if you think about it, I don't want to get into this conversation now, because I feel like it's definitely got legs for another session. But if you think about how women have been in the last, 500, 600 years, we've always been taught to move away from being more intuitive and be more regimented, doing what we're told, making
Practical.
sure that we're doing this, and this, behaving in the right way, keeping our mouth shut. I don't want to get burnt at the stake and all. So yeah, it's just, I feel like we've not been given that permission. Whereas if you think about, like even Buddhism, it's mostly men that are in the monasteries, allowing them to receive the knowledge and the wisdom from whatever it is. And the same in India, there was a lot of more male gurus, male men who are teaching these things, male men, you know what I mean, not male men with delivering posts, but it's more, there's not many female, there is some, but there's not a huge amount of female representation in those areas, and it has been like that for a long time, the world. And I feel like we're on the cusp of things starting to change now, and so hopefully, we can all work together to create what is more compassionate, loving world.
Yeah, I think
See what
we've been as
happens.
women been really conditioned and driven into the competitiveness of society and what that looks like. And I think that's why the sisterhood is so beautiful, because it fosters the opposite. And it's like we're cheering
Yeah,
each other on, and we're lifting each other up. Exactly.
yeah,
And that's so, so
so
important to
nice.
recognize each other's light, because then we will feel that permission from each other, and we will grow that energy of like, it's okay to bring that power back to myself. It's okay to take on that responsibility. It's okay to stop giving my power away and
Yeah, I agree.
to not feel like that imposter anymore, or and to just step into that fullness again, which is, you said it, change is already here, and I think you're right, but that will really set such big change in motion.
Yeah, and it's weird because you've got like a really big circly type thing behind you, and again, I just think of the world tarot card, and the change that's coming. And I don't know why I keep thinking about tarot cards today. It's really strange. I don't normally get that coming through, but that's all I think about. I feel like it's the change that's coming. And it's a good thing. It's a positive thing. Um, and it's there for everyone, men and women. It's just. But yeah, I love our container because of that, because it is all about lifting each other up and not being in some places, groups of women, there's a lot of jealousy and like competitiveness and fighting and infighting and competition. And I don't feel that you need to have that. You just need to be excited for someone else being successful. And if you are giving away your power and feeling like, oh, they're successful, but I'm not, that makes me sad, then you've got to ask yourself, well, why am I giving my power away to that? And why am I not happy for their success and celebrating them? Why do I need to turn it back to me? Because it's their achievement, not mine. So I want to be happy for them. And I want to use that as inspiration for what I could do for myself, rather than, oh no, look at them succeeding, which is, if you're right, it's been a competitiveness that's been encouraged for a long time between
Exactly. And
women.
instead, we can just see that as the permission slip for us to step into our greatness as well. And that's a
Yeah,
beautiful shift to make. And I feel like that's really a shift that can more easily be made in community. And that's why coming together in a sisterhood is so beautiful, because then you have that community that,
yeah,
in which it's easier to create a shift, because it's true. It's the energy you surround yourself with, is you more easily gravitate towards that. And so
hmm,
find the people you want to hang out with that truly match, who you desire to be. and
yeah,
and that's where change comes from in a way bigger form. Of course, we can work a lot on ourselves and create the change within ourselves, but that's a surefire way to get there faster, easier, and also with more fun, because you have others to share it with.
yeah. I agree. I do agree. And it makes you feel less isolated as well if you're in that place where other people are on the same journey and sharing their journeys and applauding each other and just being excited and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I do like it. It's really good. So next week we're going to talk about becoming the predominant creator in your own life and what that means for us and our journey so far with stepping into that. So that should be really exciting, because I know Debbie and me, we both have some really great examples of where we've applied it to our own lives. What do you think, Debbie?
I think that's great. Yeah, I'm already looking forward to it. I loved
Oh,
having this
brilliant.
conversation with you, Kelly. Thank you so much for the space.
Yeah, me too. I think it's gone really well. And we want to get momentum. We want to talk regularly every week and try to have something to put out for everybody. Just something to people to listen to while they're driving or doing whatever they're doing. Something a bit different that they don't have to stop and apply meditation or steps that we're asking you to visualize, but you get to just listen to us talking about the work and how we apply it to our own lives and stuff. So if you have any suggestions of what you'd like us to talk about, we'll be bringing some other coaches in as well, then drop us a message.
Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed our content, then please subscribe or check out our socials. I've been your host, Kelly Robinson, and it's been an absolute pleasure. Take care, much love, goodbye.